down here.
Oh.
Hi. Yeah. You said you were nearly home, so I made some tea. How about that?
Oh, great job. Oh, it's nice to feel at home without jacket and tie and all that stuff.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah. How was your day then?
Oh, it's okay.
Only okay.
Well, yeah, it's always only okay these days. It's so busy and there's so much going on all the time and so many challenges. Just never ending.
But it was okay though.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
You don't sound okay though. You sound a bit fed up.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've been getting down a bit now. The work, the challenges there, and people challenges are the worst. It makes me a bit depressed, really. I feel a bit depressed over the last few months.
Depressed?
Only for a few months.
Few months?
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
Why haven't you said about this before?
I don't want to worry you. I've got a bit of a pain in my chest as well. It seems to be getting worse. I don't know if that's affected by the stress, I suppose.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, well, actually what you heard there, particularly at the end, is what actually happened to us a few decades ago, before 2=1 taught me different, and I learned to communicate.
And to be transparent.
And to be transparent. I was indeed feeling unwell and depressed. Whether it was medical depression, I don't know, but I was certainly feeling very down. And
I think work was probably getting on top of you. There was too much to do.
Yeah. But fortunately, 2=1 has helped me to learn to communicate and learn how important it is to be transparent. So why do we say we're okay when we really aren't? That's the question. We may have the feeling that we don't really want to know there's a problem. We want to run away from the problem. After all, the symptoms may go away. We wait a week, they might be gone. And we sort of wait and see if it gets worse or not, and hoping that it's all going to go away. And often, unfortunately, it doesn't. And then we've waited too long and it's got worse. But sometimes, especially for us men, we like to minimise the symptoms because actually our physical and mental strength is important to us. It's important to our masculinity, our identity, and our perceived ability to do the tasks we feel are important to do. And we don't really want to accept weakness in ourselves. And as you say, as I said earlier on, this certainly happened to me, and it wouldn't now, I hope.
Yes, so we want our spouses to take their health seriously, and if they don't share that with us, we can feel shut out if they don't share. We can feel hurt about it as well, because they're thinking it's something that we don't need to know about, or they're perhaps even scared for us to know about, or don't want us to acknowledge that too. And we can get fearful if we can see a problem that's being ignored. We depend on each other for many things, for finances, both ways it can be, and for in all sorts of ways, the way we live our lives. And so we need to know that our spouse is well, and if not, how can we support them and help them with that? And I think we all should appreciate being in our spouse's life in any way, including, sadly, the problems, so that we can feel trusted and close in those things.
Yes, in fact, we read in 1 Corinthians 19-20 that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. We also read that we should honour God with our bodies. Are we doing that if we hide these problems and don't seek to get well and fit? We want to serve God for as long as possible and make a positive difference to other people's lives and be there for our spouse and our children. We need to stay fit. We need to stay healthy as much as we possibly can. And this means looking after our bodies and our minds as well as our spirits. Also, we can share our problems with each other, and in sharing them we can build each other up. We can be a couple. We can be one flesh that builds up and helps each other, and maybe even be able to help with the issue itself. But even if not, we're there for each other and comforting each other and reminding each other when we need to take tablets or go to the doctor or whatever we need to do. It's good to be in these things together. It feels so much less of a pressure, I think, if we're in these things together.
Yes. Yes, the couple that actually created 2=1 in the first place, sadly, the wife died last year, but the husband then realised that his 3 children were there, and if he died too, they would be all on their own, and the grandchildren. So he has now taken steps to exercise more and to lose weight. And he feels very strongly that even as his wife sadly isn't there anymore, he wants to be there as long as he can for his children, to love and support them as long as he can.
Oh, I don't recognise that handbag. Is it new?
No, not really. I've had it 6 months or so.
Oh, when did you use it before?
I'm not sure.
Is that a present?
Well, sort of. It was a present sort of from me to me. I've been looking for a handbag this size for a long time, and I finally found it, so I got it.
Oh. I thought we'd agreed that we weren't going to spend money unless it was absolutely necessary, unless we told each other first and agreed whether we could afford it. You know, we're tight on our budget at the moment.
Well, yes. Well, can any of you identify with that? Have you bought something that was perhaps unnecessary, or that your spouse told you off about later on? I think there's quite a few of us who can do these things. But why is it that we do it? Does it make us feel more attractive, or is it peer pressure because other people have got those things? Does it make us feel more attractive in ourselves? Does it increase our self-worth? Or perhaps we just enjoy choosing new things, buying new things, having new things. I know a friend of ours used to go and buy lots of things when she felt things weren't working out well in their relationship. Then she would go and buy things because that made her feel better, because her husband wasn't making her feel better.
Or upgrade the house and do lots of decorating.
Oh yes, that was another thing they did. It was a very expensive pursuit.
Well, we may choose to hide our spending, and for different reasons. We may have an attitude that what our spouse doesn't know won't hurt them. We may have the attitude that's easier to seek forgiveness than to ask for permission. After all, if our spouse doesn't agree, well, we're not able to.
You've already
get
got
those
it.
things. Well, but if you ask first, then you might not get it. So if you ask for forgiveness afterwards, then at least you got what you wanted, and you may feel that that's a good thing to do. But it doesn't help with the relationship.
No, it doesn't.
We may just kid ourselves that we're hiding the financial situation so our spouse doesn't have to worry about it. This was very much in the case of my father, who was a lovely man, a pastor, but he didn't involve his wife in finance because he believed she would be better off not worrying about it, especially as he had a fairly low stipend, as often ministers do, and particularly in those days, a few decades ago. However, despite his small income, somehow he managed to save quite a lot by managing his money well. And he thought Mum would be pleased because she would have a good sum of money after he died. But when he did die, in fact, she wasn't happy at all. She would have preferred to enjoy that money with him on a holiday and spend time with him, and perhaps invited the children and spent time with them and gone out for a meal or whatever it was, and enjoy the money they had, rather than it just coming to her when he died, not when she's without him. I say on her own, she's still our family, but without her husband is not quite the same. And also, he did it in a very complicated way, and she had really struggled with working out where all the money was and how she could get to it and so on. So it didn't really work very well for them. And he was trying to do the best, but that didn't really work. So whatever the reason we've hidden the spending or financial situation, if we don't share it together, we don't agree what we're doing, it will cause problems. When our spouse finds out, for instance, that we've done something or spent something that we haven't agreed on, that's something significant, obviously. Probably going and buying a toothbrush isn't going to be a problem, but depending on your finances, perhaps agree on a sum that you would go and buy for yourself, or over a certain sum you would agree. Certainly we've done that through our married life, and particularly when we were quite poor at the beginning of our relationship, when neither of us had well-paid jobs. We agreed a sum of money that we could spend to ourselves, but anything else we would agree what we were going to buy.
Yes, I remember a lady in our church. Admittedly, this couple were quite wealthy, but she went out one day and she came back having bought a car, a brand new car, I may add, and because
not just a model.
No, a real car, and the reason for it was she liked the colour. Her husband was just a tad shocked, to say the least, and I think many words were had that day after all of that. So we need to be transparent and agree together how we'll spend our money. Marriage is a partnership. We're together, and so we need to contribute to decisions and take responsibility for things past the toothbrush stage. And we need to budget as well as to how much we have to spend and to live within that, because that makes it's much easier if we stay within that budget. Then we can relax and we can be at peace with that. And we need to both understand what the finances are and how much we can spend, even if one person looks after doing the books in whatever way they are. But we need to consider each other in that and to be generous with each other so that we can actually do the right thing for each other and with each other. 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, "Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously." So we need to be transparent, but we need to know also that transparency is not one of those things you just learn instantly. It's something you gradually get better and better at as you practice it, as if you practice anything else in life. You learn to be the more you're transparent, the better you will be at being transparent, and the level of trust will go up too.
Shall I read the scripture?
Yes, do. That'd be great.
So it's about learning to be content with what you have. 1 Timothy 6:6-10. "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. People who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs."